Hi folks, this is Karim Raouf from IT Visualizer channel. Today we'll continue our lab, the Startrek lab. This is the second video in the series. We have been discussing in the previous video the following. This was an introduction. We have been discussing different IT concepts that will be used in this lab, and the different documents and script will be implemented in the lab, and we have discussed the scenario of the lab. And then we have been browsing the different Active Directory users, groups, computers, naming convention used in this lab. And just to make note, all of the characters and users and groups and computers of the Active Directory or the Active Directory objects, users, groups, computers, ships are named or are taken from the Startrek universe. Okay, so I can show you all a little bit of a graph here just to remember. So this is our scenario lab. Here we will have a main organizational unit. This will be the Starfleet Command organizational unit, and then we will have sub organizational units. Every one will represent a ship. For example, this is Columbia NX02 and this is Enterprise NX01. Every organizational unit or sub-organizational unit will contain users, groups, computers, so and so. And this is the command center will have the main OU will have its users, groups and computers and so on. And just to make note that all of the groups in all of the sub-organizational units will be cascaded, or it will be a member of a global group in the Starfleet command. So for example, we have an IT group at the Columbia ship and a group of IT at the Enterprise ship. We will have both groups in a global group called Starfleet Command IT personnel. Okay, so every group in the sub-organizational units will be added to a global group on Active Directory in the main organizational unit. Okay, so this was the scenario of the lab. We'll begin implementing this, but before that I need to discuss a little bit of a graph to demonstrate more how this lab will be working. So just a moment. So let's go here a little bit, make it a little bit feasible here. So what we will have here in this lab, so here is my laptop. It will have 10.0.1.100. Anyway, it will have an IP address, okay, and it contains the Hyper-V program, and this Hyper-V program, in it we will have the Hyper-V virtual environment, and then we will have the domain, which will be called startrek.local. We will have two servers named Starcom LCARS01 and Starcom LCRS02. These two virtual servers will have installed on them Active Directory, DNS, Wins role, Group Policy Management, and Dhcp Server and DFS Server, or Distributed File System Server. And the other one will have the DNS, Wins, Group Policy Management, and DHCP and DFS Server. So both are will have typical roles installed on them. Okay, and these two virtual machines will have a DHCP server. Okay, and as I said before, the DHCP server we will have here in our scenario, we will have that every computer in every sub-organization unit will have a different subnet or IP configured to them. For example, here this computers in Columbia organizational unit or sub-organizational unit will have an IP address different than the IP address taken for the computers in the sub-organization unit for Deep Space Nine. Okay, so we will have different subnets for every different subnets with several IPs for every computer in every sub-organizational unit. So to do this, we need to install in our DHCP server 8 network cards. Every network card will be responsible for distributing a specific subnet. Okay, so here for example we will have the network card. The first step network card will be 192.168.2.2. here, just to make a note, we will use IP version 4 and IP version 6. So here we will have 8 network cards to distribute 8 subnets IP version 4 and 8 subnets IP version 6. So here we'll have, for example, 192.168.2.2, and we'll have 192.168.3.2 until 8.2. So these 8 subnets, and then we will have the IP version 6. It will be 11.0.0.0.0.2 and 11.0 0, just make a little bit here closer, 1000. Just to make a note, please try to revise what is IP version 6. I will leave at the comment or description of the video a very good video to describe how we can work with IP version 6. So anyway, we will have a DHCP server that will have 8 network cards installed on them with 8 IP version 6 IPs and 8 IP version 4 IPs, and then we will have another server that will act as a DHCP failover for the first DHCP server, and it will have the same configuration. Okay, so both servers will have the same configuration in everything, including the DHCP. Okay, and these two servers are connected to a Hyper-V internal switch. Okay, this is a virtual switch, and this switch will be named IPV6 switch. Okay, and my laptop or my host is connected to the same virtual switch. So these two guests are connected to this virtual switch, and my host is connected to the same virtual switch. Why we connect both to the same virtual switch, my guest and my host? So I can communicate with both of them. Okay, so this is a little bit of a graph. I need also to discuss something here, just to make a note, but just a moment. So I showed you all in the last or in the previous video that for every here we said before, for every computer in every organizational unit we will have a different subnet. Okay, but actually here I am broadening this a little bit. I will not only install computers. Maybe in your organizational unit you need to install computers, we need to install different other things than computers. So I have not created only a subnet for every computer in every sub-organization unit, but I have created 8 subnets. Okay, so what I have did, I have a main subnet, and then I have taken from it 8 subnets. So every ship or every organization unit will have not only computers installed on it. For example, if you need to install let's say here, for example, you need to install IP telephone, you need to install access points, you need to install we need to have mobiles. So we will have a main subnet, okay, for every organizational unit or every sub-organizational unit. For example, this is Colombia, and it will have the subnet of 192.168.0.0. this is the main subnet, and then we will have 8 subnets from it. We have 192.168.2.0, this is the first subnet for mobiles, and then we have 192.168.3.0, this is the second subnet for TV, for example, and then we have 192.168.4.0, this is for the IP telephone, and then we have 192.168.5.0 for the access points, and then we have the subnet of 192.168.6.0, this will be for the servers and the different computers. So here we have a main subnet, then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 subnets. Okay, so here this is the Excel sheet that contains, this is the main subnet but in version IP version 6. So this is the main subnet for example, this is the main subnet for Colombia ship, and then we have 8 subnets. So this main subnet, it begins from this IP and ends with this IP, and then we have from this main subnet 8 subnets, and every subnet will begin from here and there. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. So each subnet from this main subnet will be dedicated to a different thing. For example, if you need to dedicate a subnet for the TV, a subnet for the mobile, a subnet for the access point. So when you are planning to have a network, you need to be putting into consideration the different subnets and the different devices used in this network. Okay, so here for example we can make it like this. This is a building, and this is its name. The name of the building is 192.168.0.0. this is our main subnet. This is a building, and then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. we have 5 floors. So this floor is 192.168.2.0. this is the floor. Okay, this is the first floor in this building or this main subnet, and then we have an IP of 192.168.2.0. so this is the first flat in the first floor in the main subnet. Okay, so this is the first IP in the first subnet in the first main subnet, or this is the flat in the first floor in the first building. Okay, so this is it. So let's continue, guys. So here we can consider that we have a little bit of a graph here. So here let's consider that in this example that the main subnet it's 192.168.0.0, this is the building, and then 192.168.2.0, this is the floor in the main building, and then we have 192.168.2.2, this IP address is a flat in this subnet from the main subnet. Okay, so this is a little bit of an example to make it more clear, or make it more to make it more clear what is the subnet or a main subnet and sub-subnets. Okay, so here there is a little bit of a question you need to answer yourself, or need to ask yourself. Okay, how for example I have a PC in Colombia PC. Okay, how it will take an IP address different than the computer in, for example, ship USS Enterprise. How this computer in this ship and this computer in this ship will take different IP addresses even though that they are connected to the same switch. Okay, we will use a concept called VLAN. What is a VLAN? Here, this is our DHCP server. We have for example 4 cards. Every card will have an IP address from its subnet. For example, this is subnet 192.168.3, and this is subnet 192.168.4. this is 5 and 6. So this is 4 different subnets. Okay, every card in this server will have a cable, okay, connected to the internal switch, okay, or the virtual switch. So what we will do, this switch will contain different ports. For example, we have here 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. So here what we will do in the real world, the switch, we will configure something called VLAN. What is a VLAN? Here we will make these 2 ports, for example, we will group them in something called VLAN 1. Okay, and there is another 2 ports, we will group them in a group called VLAN 2, and then we will have this subnet, this card in this server will have a cable and put it in this group of ports. Okay, and then we will have another card and we will have a cable and we put it in the second group, which is called VLAN 2, in a port in this group, and then the computer in Colombia will be connected to the same group of ports in the switch, and the PC in the enterprise will be connected to the same group of ports in this switch. So by grouping these ports, we are only limited them to communicate with each other. For example, here this computer cannot communicate to computers in the Colombia ship. For example, the ship in, or the computer in Colombia, or the ship, the computer in enterprise ship cannot talk to the computer in the Colombia ship, even though they are on the same switch, but they are from different group of ports. So this group of ports are called VLAN 2, and this group of ports is called VLAN 1. So only computers and devices on the same group of ports will be able to talk to each other. So we'll use this concept to make the computer take a certain IP address. So when this computer is connected to this port, he can only see the DHCP server, this network card only, or this network card that will be responsible for this subnet only. So he can't, for example, this computer can't see the other subnet here 1 2 3. He can't see the other subnets. He can only see this subnet, because this subnet have a cable, or this network card have a cable connected to this port, and he is connected to the same port. So he will be able only to see this subnet, so he can take an IP address different than the other one. For example, if we have this computer also, we can see, for example, that this network card is connected to this port and this computer is connected to this port, and both computer and network card are on the same group of ports, which is VLAN 2. So this computer will be only able to see this network card that will have a different subnet than the other one, so he will only take from this subnet. Okay, so we'll group. What we will do, we'll have our virtual switch, and we will configure VLANs on this switch, so every subnet or every computer can take an IP from the DHCP server from a certain subnet. Okay, how this is technically how it will work. Okay, so this is the graph. I need to show you all how this will be working. And actually you can see here that I am making the subnet and then the start range and the end range, and these are the sub-subnets, and every sub-subnet will begin from this range and end of this range. There is certain websites you can use and give him the subnet, and he will give you the start and ending range. And he can also, if you need to make from the main subnet sub-subnets, he can also give you the sub-subnets, and each sub-subnet will begin from which and end with which. I can show you all the websites. This works for the IP version 4 and the IP version 6. So this is a very good way to make a documentation and to be organized when you work or implementing this lab. So let's begin and see how we will work on this. So let's see now. This is our lab. Just a moment. So this is our first video. It was recorded without sound, of course, so I will be implementing it, or I will be commenting with English. So first I will show you a website that you can use to insert the IP version 6 or IP version 4, and then it will begin giving you different information you need. For example, if you need the IP version 6 subnet and you need to know this subnet begins from which IP and ends with which IP, this is available, this IP version 6 calculator. And if you need to make from a main subnet and sub-subnets, this can be also done. For example, here we have here I am having, this is my main subnet, and I need to have 18 subnets from this main subnet. Okay, so when I tell him this is my main subnet in IP version 6, and I need to have 18 subnet from this main subnet. Okay, so I have a main subnet and sub-subnets. So this is the main subnet. I need to have sub-subnets 18. So here when I tell him add level and then give him the subnet mask for this one, he will give me every the main subnet and the beginning and ending range, and the sub-subnets and the beginning and ending range. I will show you all this. So here what we will have, so but you need to be careful because this should be we need to have the sub-subnet. So he can tell me that the subnet is not the subnet mask is not correct. So here we will make it a correct one. It's 48, and then we need to have 18 subnet. Okay, so I have 18 subnet. I need to have from every subnet 8. So what I'm telling here, just a moment, let's go back. So here what we will do, we have here 18 ships. Okay, so we will have 18 subnets. Okay, so we have 18 ships or 17 ships, and every ship or every subnet for the ship will have 8. So every we have 18 ships, okay, or 18 organizational unit. We will have from every organizational unit a sub-subnet. So this is 18, and we will have from each one of these 18 we will have 8 subnets. So the second level will be 8. Okay, so here I'll tell him calculate, and then what you see here that this is, for example, this is the first subnet or the main subnet, and then if we open or maximize it, we will have the sub-subnets. Okay, so here just a moment, I will show you all this. Here for example we will have, this is a subnet, okay, and this is the sub-subnets. We have 8 subnets. If you can see here the this one, we will have, this is the main subnet, and this begins from here and ends here. We will use another website to calculate the beginning and ending range, and this is the main subnet and this is the sub-subnet. Okay, we have 8. If you go here we can see that they are the same. So we have this, for example, the Colombia will be the main subnet for Colombia ship, and this is the sub-subnets for the Colombia ship. So here for example, let's have it on the graph. So here what we will do, here we will have the main subnet for Colombia will be this one, okay, will be, this is the main subnet, and this is the 4 subnets, okay, that will be from the main subnet. And this, what exactly happens here, this is the main subnet, and this is the 7 subnets or 8 subnets, okay, and every one of them as you see here. But we will use another website to calculate, for example, this subnet, the beginning IP range and the ending IP range, okay. So this is a way. This is for IP version 6, okay. You can see here that this is the main subnet and the sub-subnets. So here what I will do here, I need to, for example, to calculate or to have the beginning and ending range of this subnet. So here what I will do, I will go to another website, okay, and put the subnet. This is the subnet. I tell him to I will put the subnet and tell him to calculate the beginning and ending range. So here what we will do, here this is the subnet of IP version 6. Here he gives me the starting range or starting IP range for this subnet and the ending range for this subnet, okay. So by this what we will do, what we will do here, we will have this graph. So we will have this, and it will be beginning from here and end there. So this is how we can calculate it, and this is the sub-subnet, we can calculate it from here and there. So this is a way to fill this Excel sheet, okay. And this is another website, but you don't need to do this anyway. It's a little bit of you don't need all of this. This is also another way to calculate. You can tell him IP version 6 and you put the range that you need, calculate. He will give you the start, the network range, it's begin from here and there, and then you can tell him how much, or this main subnet you can be tell him if you need another level from this subnet. So if you need a main subnet and then you need 8 subnets from this this main subnet, this will be, see, we can see here that, for example, here is giving you the 7 subnets from our main subnet. So this is our main subnet, and then we have 7 subnets, and this is the IP this is the reverse IP address for it, and this is the 7 subnets, okay. So we have discussed this. This is a way that you can this works for IP version 6 and IP version 4. So this is a way that you can calculate and document the IP ranges for every IP address, okay. So this is the 3 website, Guesty IOIP and IP version 6 CIDR calculator, Ultra Tools, and this is the IP version 6 subnet. This is the 3 websites that you can use to fill this Excel sheet. So this is the main subnet, and this is the start IP range and the end IP range, and this is the subnets from this main subnet. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 subnets from this main subnet, and this is the beginning and ending range of each subnet, okay. So this is, we have 18 ship, and we have from every ship of this 18 we have 8 subnets for every one of the 18 ships. Why in the graph I am talking about 8 only? I will show you all why I have did this, but bear with me, I will talk about this now, okay. So here, just I can pass it real quickly because it's not here. So what we will do now, here we will begin. Here I am going to open the Excel sheet that contains my computers for the Startrek.local domain. So I will create for the Starfleet command. So you need to make sure here that what I am doing now, here I am going to this graph. Here in this Starfleet command main organizational unit, I will create a computer in this main organizational unit. This computer will be a server, okay. So this server will have a name. I have an Excel sheet that contains the server and the computer names for every computer in the Starfleet command, and every computer in all of the ships. I have shown you all this in the previous video, so I will take a name from this Excel sheet and make one. Okay, so just wait for a moment here. So this is the subnet. Okay, anyway, we need to make sure, okay, that this is the main subnet that we will use, and we need to put an IP address for this server from IP version 6. So I am opening my Excel sheet and I will begin using the first main subnet, okay, for the Starfleet command, and configure my server with this main subnet, or take an IP address for this main subnet for my virtual server and for my host as well. Okay, so now what we will do, we now open the computers, and then I will take a server name from the Starfleet command. We have discussed the naming convention. Okay, for example, here we can see that I will take one of the servers. Okay, so this is Starcom servers, this is DU, this is an expression for a computer. LCARS, this is an abbreviation for a server. Okay, this is our terms used in the Star Trek universe. For example, if we show you all, for example, what is DU Tronics. Okay, Star Trek. Okay, Star Trek. So this is Deutronics. Okay, this is an expression used. Deutronics is a form of 23rd century computer technology. So this is a computer from the Star Trek universe. So DU, I have an abbreviation. I will not type it as a whole, so I am typing it as DU. Okay, so the computer is named DU according to the abbreviation of the Star Trek universe. And as for the abbreviation of Lars, okay, just have a moment. LAARS, Lars. Okay, Star Trek. What is a Lars Star Trek? It's a computer operating system. Okay, it's a computer operating system with Star Trek in terms of this is a server. So here I am pointing that this is a main server. Lars, it is a main server, and Deutronics, it's a normal computer. So this is why you need to know why the abbreviation of Lars come from, or what is DU coming from. Okay, so here we will take one of them and make him as the first server that will be a domain controller, DNS, DHCP. But take care that when naming computers, okay, you need to make sure that there is no special characters like underscore, because when I try to install or rename my computer to this name, he told me that you should not have underscore in the naming of the server. Okay, so take care. Okay, as for the Active Directory groups or users, I think you can use this, but as for computers, you cannot, or you'll not be able to have special characters. Okay, I will show you all this when we begin installation, so take care. So this is all of the computers. Every organization unit will have a certain so for example, here I am putting the servers in an organization called Lars. Okay, so here, for example, I have a server that it is in the wrong organizational unit. So in every organizational unit, okay, or every ship will need to have its servers and computers put in a certain location. So here we can see that this is a server and it's put in the Deutronics organizational unit. This is not correct. I need to put it in the Lars or in the servers organizational unit. Okay, so you need to modify this location, okay, because they are all servers. Okay, so when you see LCARS, this is a server, and you see DU, this is a computer or a terminal. Okay, so here I'm just providing everything. okay, every server in its location. So this is correct. Okay, Deutronics. So we have every ship that will have its own servers, own computers, everything. So I'm just revising everything. I think we can pass this real quickly because you don't bother yourself with all of this. Anyway, so we will have one of the servers, just a moment, we will have our server to be this one. Okay, this is the first one. Okay, and then we need to do something. We need to go to the Hyper-V and create an internal switch and name it IPv6 switch. As I show you all in the graph, this will be an internal switch. Okay, and we will name it IPv6. We have discussed before in previous playlist what is IP, or what is Hyper-V internal switch and external switch and private switch. Everyone will have a function or a different function. So here we will create an internal switch, IPv6. We will open the virtual switch manager in the Hyper-V and then create a new internal switch. Okay, and then we will connect this, or we'll connect all of our lab to this internal switch. We will make a new virtual machine next, and then we will make it a name. Okay, and then tell him next. Okay, and then generation 1. Okay, and then we will have a dynamic memory allocation. It will be 2 GB. Okay, use dynamic, and then we will connect it to the virtual switch IPv6, and then next. Then we will give it a hard disk of 200 GB. Next, and then we will install operating system later. Tell him later, and then finish. And then we need to add, as concerning our lab, we need to add 18 network cards, okay, to this virtual machine for the 18 subnets. But actually the Hyper-V only allows me to create 8 network cards, not more than that. So this is the first thing to note, why I am talking in my lab about 8, not 18. Okay, because only I am allowed only in the Hyper-V to have just a moment here, on the Hyper-V to have 8 network cards on a single virtual machine. What I am doing here I am putting an IP address to my host. Okay, IPv6 IP to my host machine. Okay, in the connection of the IPv6 switch, so I can be able to communicate with the server that I will create later. So if, for example, here we can see that this just a moment here, let's go to the graph. So here we can see that this, I need to put an IP address on my desk or my laptop, IPv6, from the same range that these virtual servers will be from, so I can communicate with them. But instead of putting IPv4, I will put IPv6. So to able to communicate with the Starcom servers, I need to be taking an IP address version 6 from the same range that they will use. So we will use our first subnet. This will use it on the Starcom, our Starfleet command center. I will take from this range, so I will have 11.0.0.0.0.0.2. I will be 2. Okay, and the others can have any other range. Okay, so what I am doing now here, I am going to my network connection on my host and use the IPv6 switch and put 2 IP addresses, one for IPv4 and one for IPv6. Okay, this is very critical. So by putting an IP address in this connection, I'll be able to communicate with the virtual machines in my Startrek local domain, the virtual servers in the virtual environment. Okay, so here we'll put the IP address 11.0.2 2, okay, or 1 anyway, as you see. So here I'll be 1 and then 53. So the servers or the Starcom server will have 2, for example, okay, and this is the subnet prefix, and okay. So this is very critical, so you can be able to communicate, as if you see here, just a moment. So you can see from here that from this graph I need to have an IP address, IPv6 IP address, and this server will have an IP address also. This IP address and this IP address for these two servers should have the same IP address from the same range, so we can all three 1 2 3 computers can talk to each other, okay. So let's begin. So now what I'll do now, here I am creating, or I am telling him to add, okay, as supposed to be we need to add 18 network cards, but here Hyper-V only allows you to add until 8 network cards, okay, and connect all of them to the IPv6 switch, okay. So these 2 network cards, okay, and then I will add another one, okay. We can add, okay, this is the 3rd network card. It will be connected to the same switch, and then we will have the 4th one added, okay, and to the same switch, okay, and then we will add the 5th network card, the same switch, and then the 6th network card to the same switch, and then the 7th network card, okay, to the same switch, and then the 8th network card, okay, to the same switch. And then if I try to add, here we can see that it is dimmed, okay. So here I can't add more network cards, so we have 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, so we have 8, okay. Remember the graph here, I told you that we will have this server to be a DHCP, and it will have to distribute IPs for 8 different subnets. So this is the 8 network cards, and this is the IP addresses. So this will not be only DHCP, it will be a domain controller, and we will have 8 subnets and 8 DNS servers and 8 domain controllers, okay, or each actually one domain controller with 8 IP addresses version 4 and 8 IP addresses version 6, and this will be a DNS that will have 6 IP addresses IP version 4 and 6 IP addresses version 6, and wings also, and DFS server. So every role on this server will have 8 IP addresses, okay. So let's continue. So here we can see that I cannot add more, okay. So this is a little bit of a problem, okay. So I can't add more. So what I will do now, we will just accept for just a moment here. What I have done, after not be able to add any more network cards, I will add the ISO image or the Windows Server 2019 DVD, so I can install Windows Server Data Center, okay, 2019, okay. Tell him apply and okay. So now we will pause the video and then open the virtual machine, connect, then start. So here you will see here a little bit of an error that will appear for me. I have discussed this error before and how we can fix it, but just a moment, I will revise with you. Here when we try to install our Windows Server Data Center 2019, we will encounter an error. So we'll pause the video, and then here we tell him next and tell him to install. You will get an error, okay? So here we have the data center, okay, and tell him next, and then what will happen? You will get an error, okay? So this is the data center, Windows Server data center. Here we'll have an error, cannot find the license. So how we can solve this problem? We will power off the virtual machine and we will unmount the DVD, okay, of Windows Server, and then we will power on again the virtual machine, and then so we will eject this DVD and then we will power on again the virtual machine, okay, and make it start, okay, and then after that we will shut it down and then mount the DVD again and open the virtual machine again. This is a little bit of a trick, but this is how it works, okay, how we can solve this problem. So now we have unmount the server 2019 DVD and we open the virtual machine, and of course it will not find a media to mount from, and then we will insert again the DVD, okay, and tell him open, and then shut down the virtual machine. Just a moment. Shut down the virtual machine and open it back. So now we have shut down the virtual machine and then open it back with the mounted DVD in it. Just a moment, I need to make sure that I am recording. So yes, I am. So now I think we can get a little bit here quicker, okay. So here it is succeeded in giving us, it gives me the license agreement. Then we tell him custom installation, and then what you will do here, we tell him custom installation. So it succeed, and then we'll have two partitions, okay, every one will be 100 gigabyte, okay. Okay, so we'll have it partitioned, okay, we'll have two partitions, and then we'll format second partition as NTFS, and the first partition will have operating system installed on it, and it will be also NTFS. So now we will pause the video until the installation is ended. Still it's 94%. And then the first thing we need to do, he will give us or he will tell us to put a password for the local administrator account. So here we ask for the license, we tell him to do it later, and then he will ask to put a password for the local administrator account on the Windows Server. You need to put a password of this account. As I said before, it's the best practice to put a password for the administrator and change the username of this user from administrator to any other thing and disable it completely, and use another username with the same rights of the administrator or the same rights of the local administrator. This is the best practice from Microsoft. So now what you will do, we now need to go to log into the server and change its name and put IP address for the 8 network cards. We will put IP address version 4 and IP address version 6 for the different subnets, okay. So we need to do this before installing Active Directory domain services and promote this server to be a domain controller. So we need to change the name of the server, we need to put IP addresses for the different network cards, and we need to open some options here and do a little bit of a preparation for this server. For example, here I need to have this PC icon appearing on the desktop, and we need to have the resolution of the screen changed, and I need to have the control panel icon appearing on the desktop. So we need to prepare our desktop and our environment. So here we will tell him to personalize or display setting. So here now we will change the resolution just to reflect my laptop screen, which is 1366 by 400 I think, or 786. Okay, and then we need to go to the local server and change the name of the server, but before that I need to have some icons appearing on my desktop. So I'll tell him to personalize and have this PC and the control panel and the user profile files to appear on my desktop. So here, just to make, we'll click on themes, okay, and then we'll tell him to have my desktop icon setting, okay. So here we'll make computer, user files, control panel and network to appear on my desktop, just to make everything more easy to access. And then we will go to the server manager, okay, and then begin changing the name of the server and putting the static IP address for the server itself, and to open a couple of options, okay. So here first we need to open the remote desktop option. So by opening this option I will be able to connect remotely to this server through using the remote desktop connection program, okay. So we need to open this option, okay. So we need to open the desktop option, remote desktop, okay, and we will secure it by providing a username and the password that it is allowed to have remote connection to the server by putting it in a group called remote users. So here, allow connections using network level authentication. So here we have allowed the remote desktop option, and then we need to change the name. Tell him to change the name of the server, okay. Here he will give me an error saying that this name should not contain underscore, so he did not contain non-standard characters, okay. So it should not contain underscore. All of my computer names have this type of naming in it. So I need to go to the Excel sheets, okay, that contain my computer names and change them, okay, because as you all know that I use a PowerShell script to create this PowerShell scripts to create users' computers, and this PowerShell scripts will know what type of objects to create, and then names from this. How they will know? They will know them from an Excel sheet. So I need to change my computer naming not to include special characters. Now we need to restart the server after changing the name, and then after that we will begin putting the different static IP address for the 8 DHCP or for the 8 network cards, IP version 4 and IP version 6. So here we'll access it now. So here at what I am doing here, I will go and go to my computers, okay. Go to the Excel sheet that contain the Active Directory computer objects and change the names not to contain underscore, okay. So here we can see that all of them will contain dash and underscore, so I need to make this change them. So I will not bother use the details, tell him to change only to replace, okay. So here I'll tell him to replace, okay, this one with a dash, not to contain it with a dash, okay, and underscore also. So this is how we will change the names, okay. So we will do this for all of the computers, okay. So I don't need to bother use the details, okay. This is all of them are details, we don't need it. So now we will go and open, and then we will begin putting the static IP addresses. Okay, so we'll go now and change the view to small icons. I prefer it this way so I can see everything, and then we will have the network and sharing so we can open the 8 network cards, and we will begin putting an IP address for every single one of them. Okay, so we will have our first IP address for our first network card. It will be from the first subnet. This is IP version 4. Okay, this will be the first subnet. Okay, from IP version 4, and we have also another one added for the IP version 6. Okay, this is the first one, and then we will have an IP version 6 also. Okay, IP version 6. Okay, and then we will have the first subnet. Okay, and this is, we can get it from the Excel sheet. So this is the first subnet, and this is the first IP, or the range of the first subnet, and then we will begin to make this with every network connection. Okay, so we'll put the prefix, and then we'll begin putting every IP address. So this is for the first network card, and then we will tell him close. So this is the IP version 4 and IP version 6. I think you need to restart it so it will appear, but anyway, we have done this already. Okay, it appears already, and then we will begin doing the same for the other network cards, and we'll begin using, this is the second subnet, IP version 4. It will be 2. Okay, and this is it, and then we tell him okay, and then we will go to the IP version 6. Okay, and we will return to our Excel sheet and begin using, okay, the second subnet. Okay, this is the second subnet. Okay, and then we begin using it. This is for the Columbia ship. Okay, so this is the range for the Columbia ship. Okay, and then so we have 2. Okay, but we need to restart the server after doing this. Okay, so we will begin doing this one by one. It will take a little bit of a time, but it's worth it. Okay, now we can open the properties and then doing or putting the IP address. This is the third subnet. It will be, if according to this graph, so just a moment, according to this graph, so the third subnet will be for the Enterprise Columbia. It will be this one. So the first subnet for the Columbia, okay, and the second one for Deep Space, the third one for the Enterprise. Okay, so this is all subnets. Okay, so this is how it goes, and this is from the Excel sheet. This is the third subnet. So this is the first one, and the second one, and the third one. Okay, so this is the way how it goes. Okay, so now we will configure it. Okay, and the IP version 6, and we'll do this one by one. So we are putting the ranges. Okay, so our domain controller should take from every subnet IP version 4 and IP version 6. He should take an IP from every IP version 4 and IP version 6 subnets. Okay, because this will be a domain controller. Okay, so we need to do this. Okay, I will show you all of the process. I know it's a little bit repetitive, but just to make sure or to be on the line with me. So here we will put IP version 4, and then this is the fourth subnet. Okay, this is 168.4.2. so the domain controller always take an IP 2. Okay, for every subnet. Okay, and then we will put the fourth subnet. Okay, this is the fourth one. Okay, this is for the Enterprise ship. Okay, and this is the beginning range. Okay, and then we will put a range of 2. All of them will be, the domain controller will begin with the IP or will end with the IP range of 2 or the number 2. Okay, so now we have put the 4th subnet, then the 5th subnet. Okay, so now we are going on the track. Okay, and then okay, and then IP version 6. And then we will begin putting the same, or this is the 5th. It will be for USS Certius. This is the range of this ship, and this is the 5th range. Okay, and this is the subnet prefix length or the subnet mask. Okay, and then we have our 6th subnet. So we have IP version 4 and IP version 6. So we have 2. We will work with the 2. Okay, 0.6. Okay, 0.2, and this is the subnet. This is the IP from the subnet, and then we have IP version 6, and then properties. Then we will use our following IP address, and then the 6th one will be for the USS Discovery ship. The 6th subnet will be for the ship USS Discovery. Okay, so it will be 2 and then 53, and then okay, and then details. Okay, and then IP version 4. This is the 7th subnet. Okay, we have it 192.168.7.2. Always remember the domain controller will be ending with an IP of 2, or it will end with a number of 2. Okay, so now this is the 7th subnet, and then we will have our 7th IP version 6 subnet. Okay, which will be for the USS Enterprise A. Okay, paste. Okay, and then will be the 7th subnet. This is the subnet prefix or the subnet prefix length. Okay, and close. Okay, I need to make a restart to the server after that, but we will do this. Okay, close. Okay, and then the 8th or the last subnet, and then we will put it. Okay, properties. Okay, so here we are preparing the server before installing the Active Directory domain services and promote this server to be a domain controller. So the domain controller will have 8 IP addresses version 4 and 8 IP addresses version 6 as due to the fact that it contains 8 network cards. Okay, and this will be good when we configure the DHCP. Okay, and this is what we intended to do. Okay, so now you tell him copy and paste. Okay, the clipboard. Okay, this is the last subnet, and then we need to restart the server, and then the last step is to configure the VLAN option on the virtual switch. I will show you all how this can be done from the Hyper-V. It's very simple. So we have 8 subnets. All of them are configured with IP version 4 and IP version 6. Now we need to restart the server, and the last step is to configure VLANs on our Hyper-V virtual switch. It's very simple. We will go to every network card on this virtual machine and assign a VLAN number to it, and then in every computer for every ship we need to add a network card and put this specific VLAN to it. For example, if for the Columbia computers you have your domain controller network card on a VLAN 1, so you need to put the computer of Columbia on the VLAN 1 VLAN. If you need, for example, to have a computer of US discovery to take an IP address from a certain range, you need to have your second network card for your second domain controller to have a VLAN of 2, and this computer from the US discovery to have a VLAN 2. Okay, so now what I'm doing here, I am going to my IP version 4 of my host, and then I will begin adding. So because I have already put an IP address version 6 to my host, but I need to add IP version 4 as well. Okay, so I can communicate with either IP version 6 or IP version 4. Okay, so I open my network connection setting and open the IP version 6 switch. So now I have two IP addresses, 11.1 IP version 6 and 192.168.1.100. okay, so now we have restarted the server, which will be a domain controller. We need, the last step is to configure the VLANs. Okay, and I'll show you all a little bit of a problem that will happen. This is another thing considering when you consider to have a VLAN option in your Hyper-V environment, in your lab, or even VMware Workstation Pro environment. You need to have or to take into consideration that there is a very important thing or very important option. You need to make sure that your network cards is supporting it. Anyway, just a moment. If you open our local server, you will see that the server will have the name that we have given to it, and we can see the different IP addresses assigned, IP version 4 and IP version 6. Okay, so here this is the name of the computer, okay, or the server or the domain controller, and then we will see the IP address for the different network cards. It is the Windows Server data center. It is every Ethernet and the IP address. Okay, but he didn't tell us the IP version 6, but he is giving us the IP version 4. Okay, so this is the 8 IP addresses. And now we need to first of all, I need to tell him not to open the server manager console automatically from the manage properties, and do not start server manager automatically at login, because this takes from the RAM, and I have a little bit of small RAM here. It's 2 GB only. So here I'm just checking everything to see if the IP addresses are there and everything is working properly. So if you open the network sharing, here we can see that everyone will contain, or I'm checking the IP addresses, all of them. Okay, I'm just checking all of them. So we will check all of them, and then what I'll do now, after checking all of them, I need to open my right click and run, and then I need to take the folder of the scripts that I will use to create the Startrek.local domain computer objects, or the scripts that I will use to create Active Directory users, groups and computers for this lab. So here I'm connecting to my host hard disk and taking my collections or AD collection tools. Okay, this is the IP version 4 of my lab. Okay, I will take the script folder and I will configure a couple of programs. I will configure the classic shell program to change the start menu of the Windows Server to be more like Windows 7 start menu, and I will configure a program called 7zip to extract or compress folders. Okay, so this is also another one. So this is the folder of the scripts. I am copying it from the host to my guest, and then I'll begin configuring a couple of programs. Why I am configuring the classic shell? Because I have a group policy that will control the classic shell and make it more familiar or more easier for the user to work with the start menu of the Windows Server. Okay, because the Windows Server 2019 default start menu, it's not easy to work with, so I will make it more like the start menu of Windows 7. Okay, by using this program which is called classic shell. Okay, so anyway, we will begin configuring a couple of programs. I have here my collection of programs. I will go on my host. So here I will copy some programs I have from previous labs. So here I have the classic shell. I have here the VLC. This is a video player, and I have the classic shell. I will copy them, okay, and copy the 7-zip program for compressing and decompressing files. And this is the Firefox browser. I don't know why I'm installing Firefox anyway, but this is a couple of programs I will install on this machine. And still I need to have the 7-zip program, the one for the program for compressing and decompressing files. So now we will install the different programs. And now, not to forget to take the folder that contain the scripts I need. And here I am taking the group policy. So I am taking Marvel group policy. This is a group policy I will apply to the Startrek lab. They are all the same. I have the same group policies applied to all of my labs. So here I am taking also the group policy folder. Here I have exported all of the Marvel lab group policies, and I will import them in the Startrek lab. So this is it. Now we are installing the 7-zip program. This is a program for compressing and decompressing files. Okay, next, 7-zip program, 64-bit edition, because this is Windows Server 2019 64-bit. Okay, and remember, all of our operating systems in all of our labs, it is all 64-bit, and this is the commonly used versions right now. No one will use 32-bit unless it's an old machine. Okay, so now I'm installing the classic shell program. This is a program that will change the Windows Server 2019 start menu to be more like Windows 7. I will show you all this. So now finish. Okay, and then you can see here that when tell him click OK, now we can see that the start menu of the Windows Server will be more like Windows 7, not Windows 10. Okay, so here this is the start menu, it is changed. Now we will close the server and begin configuring the VLAN options on the virtual switch on the Hyper-V. Okay, so actually we'll go to every network card on this virtual machine and give it a VLAN number. Okay, and then if you need a computer to take for every ship to take a certain IP address, you need to configure it with the same VLAN for the same network card that you have configured on your domain controller. I will show you all this. So now we have opened the virtual machine, and then we will go to every network card and assign. First we need to integration to have the guest services option clicked, so we have more integration between the host and the guest. Okay, so now we need to configure the VLANs. Okay, and here we'll have a problem that will arise, but anyway, just we go to we tell him enable virtual LAN identification or VLAN ID, and then we give it number 2. So this is our first network card, we put it on VLAN 2. Okay, and then the second network card put on VLAN 3. Okay, so for example, if for example this will be, for example, let's consider this is a VLAN of 4. So for example, your network card on VLAN 4 on your domain controller, if you need, for example, a certain computer in a certain ship to take an IP address from a certain network card, so you need to put a VLAN 4. So if, for example, VLAN 4 contains subnet of 192.168.4.0, so to make a computer take from this subnet, I need to put it on VLAN 4. Okay, so that's it. So we will put every network card for every network card will have a certain VLAN, and then if we need a certain computer to take a certain IP address from a certain subnet, we need to configure it with the VLAN that you are configuring now. Okay, so now we have our IP version. This is VLAN 6 and VLAN 7 and VLAN 8, and actually I am having, or my computer is taking from the first subnet. Okay, the first subnet, which is the VLAN 2. Okay, so my host should be on the VLAN 2 network. Okay, or VLAN 2 group. Okay, so now we have all of the VLANs are configured. okay. So everything is correct. Now we need to apply and okay, and I'll try now to work with this VLAN, okay, or to see if I will be able to work normally. But we will see a little bit of a problem that will arise now. After configuring this VLANs, my host and my guest are not able to communicate with each other. I will show you all this problem. Remember that from a couple of minutes I was able to go to my host machine and copy the scripts and the programs that I was installing from a couple of minutes, the programs of the Hyper-V, the programs of the 7-zip and everything. Now if I try to now again access my host, okay, first of all we need to make a little bit of a change of the setting in the classic shell, so I make him able to appear the window of the WinX, okay, or the options the WinX when I right click the start or right click the Windows icon. Here right click open WinX menu. I will show you all what this means, but when you right click, so I think it's here, I don't know why I am inserting this program. Anyway you don't need this. We go there, okay. So when right click, I think it's right click. Anyway, so we will go to the server manager, and now I will try to install the Active Directory domain services, but here you will see a problem. I will show you all this, but when it comes, so now we will open the server, and then anyway, so open the server manager, and then we will begin adding the Active Directory domain services. But anyway, it didn't appear here in the lab, but I had a problem when I configured the VLANs. My host was not able to communicate with my guest, okay. This was a problem, okay. The fix for this problem, or it was the cause of this problem, because my network card on my host does not support the VLAN option. So this was a problem. This will make a problem for us in our lab, because you need to make sure that your network card on your host will have the VLAN option supporting enabled, okay. So you need to see your network card device brand or model and see if it supports the VLAN, okay. So this is a very important thing. Anyway, so now we will configure the Active Directory domain services, okay. So now we will configure the Active Directory domain services, and then, okay, just a moment here. So we will configure the Active Directory domain services. I didn't configure it, I am only configuring the net frame for some reason, but anyway, I will configure the net frame, okay, but this is not an issue. Anyway, here I'm configuring, telling him to get the net frame from a folder in the Windows Server 2019 DVD. Anyway, so I'm installing the net frame. I don't know why I'm installing the net frame, but anyway, so now when I tell him to run and then try to access my laptop hard disk, it will take a lot of time until at the end, what he will do at the end, here you go, it will give us, just a moment, if you can see here, again, so I tell him to okay. I will not be able to communicate with my host anymore after installing or after configuring the VLAN, okay, because my network card doesn't support a VLAN, okay. If you go there, okay, this is the net frame. If you tell him run again, start and run, okay, anyway, it didn't appear, but actually I can't able to communicate with the my host anymore. So this was all. In the upcoming video we will begin working with configuring the Active Directory domain services and preporting the server to be a domain controller, and continue our process. Hope this video was informative for you all, and I would like to thank you all for viewing. Thank you so much.